much. And thank you, Assemblymember Krell, for championing this bill and this cause. And I am joined by Tara Gamboa-Eastman, the Legislative Director for the Steinberg Institute, and Karen Larson, our CEO, I think, is in the audience here as well. As you know, I'm Darrell Steinberg. I was the founder of the Institute and former Senate Pro Tem and former Mayor of Sacramento. Our Institute is a nonprofit organization singularly focused on breaking the cycle of homelessness, incarceration, and repeated hospitalization for people living with severe mental illness. And I'm here today. Our institute is the proud sponsor of AB 348. And this bill, it builds on a journey that began for me more than 2 decades ago when I was a freshman assembly member in 1998. I introduced AB 34, which launched a groundbreaking $10 million pilot program what we came to call Whatever It Takes Care. The idea was simple: assertive outreach, case management, whatever it takes to people living with severe mental illness on the streets. And over the course of 5 years, between AB 34 and 2034, we demonstrated huge decreases in hospitalization, jail time, days of homelessness, exactly what people need and what the people of California expect. It led then to my having this wild idea to put this program and this system on the ballot in 2004, which led to Proposition 63, the Mental Health Services Act, the 1% tax on millionaires, which has now become the Behavioral Health Service Act. The cornerstone of Prop 63 was and is what we did under AB 34 and 2034, full service partnerships, programs designed to meet whatever it takes for people to get them off the streets and into more stable settings and to begin a recovery towards living in our community. By the way, the promise that was made by our forebears in the 1960s and 70s when they shut the state mental hospitals and promised a decent system of community mental health care. Prop 63, by the way, has generated $31+ billion of funding for public mental health since 2004. It's in part helped save the system, and yet it still has a lot of work to live up to its promise, which is why we did Prop 1 back in March. Here's the problem. 20 years later, the promise of whatever it takes is faltering. Even though these full-service partnerships were originally created to serve people experiencing homelessness with serious mental illness, today only about 40%, I repeat that, only about 40% of FSP slots go to that population. The very people these programs were created to serve are still languishing without the care that they need. I'm all for local discretion and control, but there is no state standard in California about who gets admitted to care with these precious dollars. And as you know, because we all have experienced it, and at every political level it dominates our discourse, 1/4 of California's unhoused population is living with serious mental illness. That number, I think, is low, and they're cycling through our emergency rooms, our jails, our streets, disconnected from care that can transform their lives. There are thousands of people that have gotten wraparound care and whose lives are better. So this bill sets a standard. It says to the counties and to the providers, if somebody meets objective criteria, they're living on the streets, they've had a number of 5150s, they're coming out of jail or prison, that they're eligible and they're enrolled. Presumptive eligibility is what we call it. It would allow the provider, without the consent or permission of the county, to enroll somebody while all the eligibility issues are being worked out. And by the way, there's little time to waste, right, for somebody who's out on the street and who is really sick. Not 2 weeks from now, not a month from now, but they can enroll people today. This lines with Prop 1, because Prop 1 really happened with the governor's leadership, of course, and the legislature's leadership, because we were frustrated, despite all the successes of the Mental Health Services Act, with the fact that these FSPs and the money was not focused enough on people who are the sickest of the sick. This is a big bill, in my view, not just because we're sponsoring it, but I think it will begin remedying a problem and get us back to our original intent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You heard the click? Thank you, sir. Now turning to